You know, only in Florida can you leave your house and it's like super sunny, and then you get down the street and it's like a torrential downpour. We're kind of dealing with a scattered thunderstorm type of situation right now, but it's fine. It's Florida. We're so used to it by now. But I did want to bring you along with me on this trip because I think this is the perfect time to discuss the topic of this week's video. Before we get into that though, I do have an activity for you to do. I want you to find a piece of paper. Take that piece of paper and draw a line straight down the middle. So now you should have 2 columns. On each column, I want you to write 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And on the left side, I want you to write 5 of the best things that have ever happened to you. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be something big like graduation or, getting married or having a kid. And it could be something easy and mundane like, I tied my shoes correctly this morning. Whatever. On the other side, I want you to write 5 of the worst things that have ever happened to you. And it could be as big as, a death of a sibling or a miscarriage, things that I've had to go through. Or, something that is also mundane, like, bills that are due or frustration you had at work today. I just want you to write 5 good things and 5 bad things. Take your time. This is not a quantity over quality thing. It's definitely quality. Really, really think about those 5 things on each category while I continue on to my destination. So you can pause the video or follow me as I go. Time to get something to eat. Had to put sugar in my system for the thing that I'm about to go and do. So I think we are here. Pulling up now. This is a nice spot, bro.
Thanks.
This is like 20,000 times better than where you were. Oh, look, you put up my photographs too?
Oh, those are just temporary.
I
don't want that crap on my wall.
So this is Jesse, who is not only a badass tattoo artist, but more so is a very, very good friend of mine. I like this guy because we do a lot of creative stuff together, don't we? This guy, does the best, does the best walk-in impersonation. And
No, it's not good. It's not bad. It's alright.
so we are working on my chest today. He's been doing some stuff on my persons. He's been,
Chesticles.
he's been diddling my nips
That's right.
and causing me pain. I made the mistake when he did this for me a couple weeks ago, and then completely forgot he had done it. And then within that same week, I jumped in the ocean, and I was freaking out, thinking, oh my God, I'm going to die. What if there's bacteria that just got in it? And he was like, you'll be fine. It's already pretty much healed. You should be okay. People worried about coronavirus. This is probably one of the safest places you can go to because everything here is so super sterilized. And this guy is like neurotic about cleanliness. I mean, look at him. Look at this pretty boy. He's always so super clean. You know who else puts on aprons like that? Serial killers who are going to torture you. Like, look, it looks like there's a blood stain at the bottom of that apron.
I did that on purpose.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I opened up the red and just shot it
I want you to name
on. Ooh.
5 of the best things in your life and 5 of the worst things that have ever happened in your life.
Oh, Jesus Christ, that is... Alright, so it didn't seem awesome in the moment that it happened, but the best thing that ever happened to me in tattooing was when Sean Herman told me I wasn't as good as everyone else was telling me I was.
All right, give me another one. Weren't you in a band?
Oh, dude, let's not talk about that.
But weren't they great for that moment? I mean, for that time.
Well, yeah.
Doesn't matter how it ended up.
Sure. Yeah, I was.
Did you have an amazing show that you remember?
Yeah.
You don't have to tell the story, just.
Yeah, Warped Tour was cool.
Okay.
That was like, holy shit, I'm on a Warped Tour stage.
All right, now, so let's go 5 of the worst things that have happened in your life.
Oh man, I don't know. I've had a lot of bad shit happen, man. Okay, so one of my really good friends died 2 years ago, suddenly in his sleep. That was devastating. Me and my brother had a fallout, and we didn't talk for 6 years. We're best friends again, but that was terrible. My dog died, got killed by another dog, and I held her while she died in my arms. Mm. And my new puppy shit in my living room this morning. Is that 5?
The point of this whole episode this week is a lot of people think they don't have stories worth writing about. But if they just mind their life,
right,
there's 10 stories already right there.
Right, yeah. Totally.
Without you even thinking about it, right?
Yeah.
You know, all of my tattoos are a story too. You know, every single one of these means something. And, you know, I wanted to showcase that we're all storytellers. We're all showcasing our stories in one way, shape, or form.
Right.
And I do mine through poetry or displaying tattoos. And you, I'm sure that as a tattoo artist, collect a ton of stories from clients too. You're like the bartender, man. People tell you their stories and
take it from me.
You hear stories all the time, you know?
Yeah, that's very true.
And so...
And some of the stuff that I am told really highlights how lucky I am as a person.
Right.
Because I've heard some really bad stuff.
And maybe I'm a masochist, because every time I go through something horrible, that's when I want to go get tattooed. Because it's like, you know what? It already hurts. Let me hit up my buddy. Let me get hurt more.
Yeah.
And then at least that way when it heals, there's something beautiful left behind, you know what I mean?
Well, and I think that the body does that even if you're not aware you're doing that. I know, like, for me, because I'm getting a lot of laser removal done.
He's lasering his pubes off.
Yeah. It's taking so many sessions and I'm only down one pube. I have my pubes are they're strong.
He's lasering butthole hair.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
That way when he wipes, it's clean.
That's right. But on a serious note, so every time I've been lasered, I have hallucinated at some point. I call it my pain cave, which I did not come up with. Rich Roll came up with that. Yeah, he calls it his pain cave, and I found it so appropriate because you really burrow down to get through really painful stuff. There has not been a session where I have not hallucinated some really gnarly stuff. And then come out of it and realize that I didn't stop feeling the pain. Like the hallucination did not take away the pain, but it highlighted how much I've been through in the past and helped me get through the current moment of just insane amounts of discomfort.
Yeah. So here it is, all finished. It's gonna hurt, but looks good, bro. Always looks good. Looks good, bro. Thank you, Thuggins.
Thuggins Rice is sick nasty.
Second Grounds Tattoo Parlor. Love your new place, man.
Thank you.
Alright. Let's see if I can do this in just one long rant, and then I will edit later, because right now I am like in pain. It's always funny that people ask all the time, you know, like, they see my tattoos and then they'll say, you know, oh, did that hurt? I won't lie and say it doesn't hurt, right? Because I think great art comes at a cost. I'm going to say that again. Great art comes at a cost. You want something beautiful and amazing, it has to come from somewhere that might have hurt before. Whenever I go through something painful, I try to turn it into something beautiful. Right? And so I will write about it, I'll make a poem about it, and I'll also get tatted up. That's actually been my release, where if I go through something painful and something that has affected my life, I will try to commemorate that in a way of tattoos and in the way of poetry or in the way of art. As artists, I mean, that's just how we thrive. I'm not saying go around and look for painful things to happen to you so that you can create art. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that as artists, we have the ability to cope with our pain by trying to turn it into something meaningful and something aesthetically beautiful. As much as this tattoo hurt, and as much as all my tattoos hurt, they all mean something to me. I mean, that's what a tattoo is. It's an inked scar. And that scar reminds me of what I went through. So I hope you've had the time now, since I gave you the activity in the beginning of this episode, to write the 10 things, 5 of the best things that have ever happened in your life, and 5 of the worst things that have ever happened in your life. And I asked you to write these things down, because if you look at it, there's 10 poems right there that are waiting to be written. Right? So if ever you come across a point where you're like, well, I don't know what to write about right now, there's nothing for me to write about, hello, you have like a list of 10 things right there waiting to be written. If you know my work, I have a poem called Bathtub. It is a poem about the miscarriage that my wife and I went through. I didn't write it the next day after the miscarriage. I can never write poems like when I'm in the thick of it. Like, I don't write like that. I can't, because I am too involved in my emotions and I'm going through the muck of it that I can't seem to put it down on paper just yet. So I usually wait a few months, maybe even a year, maybe 2 years before that poem is ready to be written. A poem will tell you when it's ready to be written. So even if you have a list of 10 right there, some of those poems are not ready to be written yet, while some are. And that's really up to you to decide whether or not this poem is ready to be written. Don't ever feel pressured that you have to write the poem right now. Okay, I just wanted you to write this list so that you know you have poems to write when you need a prompt, right? Like, you don't need to ask for prompts. Your life is full of prompts. You just have to know where to look for those prompts. Now you might say, well, Asia, you know, my life is kind of boring. Yeah, I wrote 5 great things and 5 bad things, but I don't think they're really worth writing about. What do you mean? You know, a lot of times people don't think they can write about their lives because they expect our lives to be like a movie. People think our life has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Well, the end is when you die, and you're not going to be able to write after that. Okay, now you might still say, great, I still don't have anything of substance. I never went through like a miscarriage. I never lost a sibling. I was never abused. So what am I going to write about? So you're telling me you've never fallen in love? You're telling me you've never had a heartbreak? You're telling me you've never been angry? You've never been happy? You've never been sad? And if you said no to all those things I just mentioned, then dare I say it, you're not an artist. But I know that's not true. I know that's not true because you're watching this. You watching this says to me that in some way, shape, or form, you consider yourself an artist. And as artists, we are hypersensitive. And I'm not saying that in like a bad way. It's just we have this knack of feeling things and seeing things that analytical people may not necessarily see. We can see meaning in the smallest things. So if you can do that, then how could you possibly say you have nothing to write about? Nothing in your life is worth writing about. You can't. There's a lot. It's just that you may have set an expectation on yourself that something big has to happen in order for you to write something. And that is just absolutely not true. Some of my favorite stories are about the mundane, about me dressing my kid up for school, or how my car broke down and I had to go fix the engine. Like, these are things that people overlook writing about because they don't think it's traumatic enough or it's a big enough event. But you know, the mundane stories, so many of us can relate. So many of us could relate to the daily things that we all face, all of our struggles, our triumphs, our love, our heartbreaks, our joys, our pain. These are the things that you can write about in your life. So if you look at your list and you don't think there's nothing there that is really big enough to write about, then you're setting too high of an expectation. Perfect example. You say, I want to write a love poem, but I don't think I'm qualified to write a love poem because I've never really been in a relationship that lasted longer than a year. And that one relationship that I was in, I mean, it wasn't really dramatic. Actually, it was kind of boring. Like when we met, there weren't butterflies in my stomach. There weren't fireworks in the air. It wasn't love at first sight. And when we broke up, it wasn't like a big bad breakup. It was actually pretty cordial. We just said goodbye to each other and went our own ways. So how am I going to write about that? Okay, fair. So are you telling me that in that 1 year relationship, you didn't have like one kiss that sent goosebumps all over your body? You didn't make love and felt something so spiritual, or a fight that made you just go crazy and being a person that you didn't think you were? You didn't have any moment that was dramatic like that? Because you don't have to write about the whole relationship. You can write about just the moment. So much can be written about a moment. Great poems have been written about a moment. Great novels have been written about a moment. History books have been written about a single moment. We all have moments because we're all human. Because we all have emotions, we all have a capability to feel things. So somewhere in there is a moment. And if you still feel like, well, my whole life is boring, then write about that. Write about the mundane. Stop looking for the big things and stop hoping bad things or good things happen to you so you have something to write about. You can mine your life for stories if you're just looking and not setting such a high expectation for what that story is supposed to be. A whole poem could be written about one kiss. A whole poem could be written about one heartbreak. A whole poem could be written about one loss. A whole poem could be written about one moment of anger. There's that adage of people wanting something and then when they get it, they want more and they want more and more and it never satisfies their hunger. It's the same thing with life. If you keep wanting something to happen, you're gonna keep wanting these things to fuel your creative energy when really you have everything you need. It's just a matter of structuring it. So this week's episode was part 2 of a 3-part series on the art of storytelling. This week we focused on mining your life for stories and finding out moments that you could write about. Part 1 was last week where we discussed the fundamentals of storytelling, the beginning, middle, and end, and how characters navigate through that in order to get to a resolution. If you have not seen that video yet, make sure you check it out, or if you have seen it, maybe watch it again and brush up, because next week we're going to take all of this stuff, everything we've learned so far, and finally turn it into a poem. I will show you how to take the storytelling formula that we have, along with the stories that you pulled from your life, and how to actually compose that into a very compelling story. I'll show you my process, how I go through it, and hopefully if you are already a writer, you might be able to pick up some tips. And if you are lost and never written a spoken word poem in your life, then maybe my formula on how I do it might actually help you. Until then, don't forget to like this video, share this video, especially to all of your friends and family and anybody that you think might be able to benefit from all the techniques we've been teaching. Share it with them because we really want to grow our followers so we can continue to create more content for writers and artists like you. Until then, make sure to subscribe and make sure to follow us on all of our social media accounts at The Asia Project. My name is Asia Sampson, and until next week, speak like you mean it. This thing hurts. Shouldn't have moved my arm around so much. What's a guy gotta do to get some tattoo cream around here?